Good morning, you guys. It's 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda, and crazy enough, I actually forgot my coffee this morning. Anyway, good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to talk to you about reprioritizing your business so that you can grow faster. And so as people are jumping on live, I'll just say hello to you. How are you? Awesome. Good to have you here. Okay, so let me start first by just the other day, before I get into reprioritizing your business, for faster growth. These are just a couple things that happened a couple weeks ago inside of our community. And the only reason why I share this with you is because sometimes it can feel like you're just in a house like I am right now. I'm right now in my beach condo. We're building a house in San Diego right now. And we're all stuffed into this really cute beach condo, which has like my son's, balloons everywhere and toy cars everywhere, and there's like a lot of stuff. And behind closed doors, it can feel, I guess, crowded and stuffed. And I don't know if you're anything like me, but I like everything around me to be really clean and white and pretty. And it doesn't look like that as a 3-year-old. And I know you have your version, or having a 3-year-old. I know your version of that is something, right? Like behind closed doors, there's something that drives you a little crazy. And sometimes it can feel a lot like we're on our own, building our businesses, and it's really easy. It's really easy to start to have some sort of a martyr or a victim story around this is hard. And so I often I find it very useful when I hear other people who have just as many like imperfect moments as me have successes. So these are some things just recently inside of our community. It was during the December break, and coming back, we're basically going into February right now, but it's during the December break. These are some of the things that happened. One of our clients, Sharina, had 22 new people came into her community. 12 were sold the week before she took off. She took a week off. So she worked 3 weeks out of the month, took a week off, and she still sold 22 people into her program. By the way, she's had a business for less than 2 years. Beth, and those are high ticket item prices. Beth, she had a breakthrough in tech. So she had major tech issues and literally had a breakthrough in tech where it stopped being a hard thing for her to deal with. That could be a frustrating moment. Kelly Blazer, literally went from $40,000 last year to $170,000, and it was easier to run. In 1 year. So she jumped from $40,000 to $170,000 in revenue in 1 year. These are just some people inside of our community. Crystal, $50,000. She did $53,000 with Cyber Monday. So basically in a month, she had 11 pay in fulls, which is amazing. She's like a strength coach for kids who want to go pro. Amy Yamada, she had 2 $25,000 clients that came on. Gladys, Panful, her sister quit her job and started working in her business full time. Lisa, capacity to hold more. Lisa ended up learning how to hold more in her life and her business, so everything didn't feel quite as overwhelming. Orchid, $32,000 in revenue. In December alone, she did $60,000. I don't know how long Orchid's had a business, but she used to be really quiet and on the side. Now this woman is crushing it. Jennifer, 40 people was her goal. She has 1 more month left. She had 34. She had 34. I don't understand this. Well, I missed that one. I don't understand what I wrote. Have you ever done that? I don't even understand what I wrote. I think it was out of 39 clients, 34 of them actually showed up to her event for her to help them. Why that's so important is so many people sign up for programs and then they don't do what it takes to even get to the live events. And don't get me wrong, I know we have time issues. I know we have money issues. I know all those things are a factor. You have new baby issues. There's a woman who had a baby a couple months ago, and she's in our leadership program, and I was actually in the hall taking care of her newborn baby, and she's breastfeeding, and then got her nanny a hotel room so her nanny could actually be in a nice hotel room while she went through our leadership program. My point in sharing that with you is that is a woman that's committed out of her mind, right? She just had a baby a couple months ago. So please, if you sign up for programs, do what it takes to get to the events. Half of the breakthrough in money, time, results has to do with you actually just showing up. Heather, she had 18 people through cold traffic join her Story Academy. So the reason why I share all this with you is because, again, sometimes it can feel like, am I ever going to have that pop? And I'm going to tell you, out of most of those people, like Amy, having clients pay her $25,000 now, I mean, 3 years ago, she didn't really have a business, right? Crystal, she's crushing it, like $53,000 as a strength coach. That's powerful. Orchid, $60,000 in revenue in December. And that she's not, in my opinion, a super huge extrovert, or if she is, she doesn't show up that way normally. My point in sharing that with you is because, are you prioritizing the right things to grow your business, or are you like a woman that one of our team members last week actually spoke to? And I'm going to share this with you for a second. So there's someone that we spoke to on the phone recently last week, and she wants to be a coach, and she's been, giving advice for a little while to her friends. And every time she gives business advice to her friends, they have a result, and she loves it. And so she wants to build out a coaching industry, a coaching business. And I get it. When you're good at something and you've had a little bit of success with some people and you feel good, coaching is one of the most amazing things for getting a great return on investment, because when you help people, because you have the right clients, then what happens is you get an instant hit of value. You feel good, right? And so this person phones up. I'm not going to say her name, or she's watching. This is even more, edification that you have what it takes. And that's why we're talking about you right now. So I get this phone call, or this voice message from somebody on our team saying, this woman, let's call her Tammy, really has what it takes. And I don't know where to go with her to have her really understand that she has what it takes. And the way that she's thinking right now, this logical way of thinking, is not going to help her grow her business. And I said, okay, so what's she thinking? And she said, well, she thinks that she needs to go figure out what she's going to offer first, which is logical, right? That's logical. What am I going to offer first before I make an offer? That's so logical. But it's within the strategy of thinking of a slow growth company. It's in the strategy of thinking of a slow growth company. Because what you do first is you actually build an audience first. You actually build, let's say, an email list first. Because the reason why I like email lists first is because you can email that list and ask them what they want. So if you're one of my clients and you're watching right now, and you're in this conversation of what should I say, or what should I package in a program, product, or service to give, this is a great reminder to you. You never should be creating things out of your head. You should actually, if you want things to fly off the shelf and for sales to become easier, you have to get better at asking for feedback, right? And often we don't even like feedback because it means something about us. And it's like, no. Let's recreate the world of sales so that we have a really clear understanding that it's about service. And service means that we need to know what the majority of people in our audience want. Not all, because you'll never make 100% of people happy, but what does the majority of our audience actually want for us in whatever field we want to service them in. So I have a huge email list, and say I wanted to sell your product, right? Say I wanted to sell your product to my email list, which is another form of creating income from my database, because my database, only a certain percentage of them ever want anything from me. But I could go, let's say, because I teach business, I could go to, let's say, an event company, a copywriting company, a media company. I could go to all these different companies, and I could literally start asking my database, what is it? Like, I would ask the companies that I was going to email for, what are some of the things that you specialize in? And when they tell me, I now ask my database, my email list, What are your problems with these things? What are you most interested in knowing about these things or wanting help in these areas? What would you pay or would you invest in one of these 5 things or one of these 4 things if I offered it to you, right? That's another way of seeing their value. Value is connected with what people would pay for. So this now would give you and I a very clear understanding by doing just a survey that's specific around not just what do you want or what's interesting to you, do you want love, instead of like being general, hone in on some specific questions like, what would you, like in business, let me just say in business for a second, then I'll do health and God. But like a great question would be like, what would you invest in as a business owner if I provided it for you or if I offered it for you? Number 1, copywriting. Number 2, business advice. Number 3, how to speak on stages. Number 4, how to brand your company for further growth. Number 5, how to have more confidence in investing in your business, right? And so if I gave that multiple choice questionnaire, then I might think they all want business advice and they might all want branding, or the majority of them want branding. Then if they do, there's a lucrative opportunity for me owning the email list, but there's also an incredible opportunity for me to partner people with the right offerings, which is service, that's sales, right? So if you suck at sales and you build an email list, you could actually make your whole business servicing people around what they want with other people's products and take a percentage of it, right? What a great way to leverage your life, right? If you want to be the star and you want to deliver content or provide value, then get more specific in your ask. So I sometimes think that we forget how to listen. We forget how to ask. Because if you're a strong personality type, you tend to lead by default, but sometimes you're leading people off a cliff or leading yourself off a cliff because you're not asking for specific feedback. So now this takes practice. So what I don't want you to do is sit there and go, oh, I don't know what to ask. I want you to actually just put your focus this year or for the next 4 months on how do you find ways to ask great questions to your audience. And you can practice that with the people you love in your life. How do you ask better questions to people you love? Like, honey, what would make being in this marriage a 10 for you? Right? If you're like finding there's a breakdown in intimacy, it'd be like, for a man, you might ask a woman, instead of like, how do you want it to be made love to in bed? You might ask her, what would create more connection that you'd want to make more love in bed? Right? And so ask better questions and you'll get better answers. And instead of slamming your head against the wall, blaming the world or blaming yourself for not getting the results that you want, I'm going to tell you that connection is currency. Connection is currency, which means that all you have to do is get better at asking better questions. And then that makes sales easy. So I wrote out 3 things that I want you to think about. And these are 3 things that I want you to think about inside of growing your business and doing it the right way. Number 1 is definitely you want to make sure that you're asking better questions. That's kind of the highlight to be even know where to go. But according to Tammy, who we just spoke to last week, who felt like she needed to, and I just gave her a new name, that she needed to figure out what she was going to offer before she was ever going to, let's say, invest with us to build an email list or invest with us to grow her business. She wanted to figure it out beforehand, and that's a broke way of going about growing your business. It's actually slow and steady death because you'll probably have to get a job to be able to even grow your business, right? Because you'll go broke. So number 1 is really, are you letting the right people influence you? Do not take advice from someone who, even someone you love who is super smart that hasn't done what you want, right? I put tunnel vision on and I only take advice from my coach. And my coach is where I want to be. And my coach this year has everything to do with media, infomercials, all of that type of stuff. I want to become an even better marketer so that I can help more people, right? So make sure you have the right people influencing you. Number 2 is don't chase speed. Focus on one thing at a time. Don't chase speed, right? So when you commit to something, the way you learn how to stop chasing speed is complete what you start. Complete everything that you start, right? So that could be you are going out for a run. Complete what you start. Finish the run. Don't quit 10 minutes early. If you said you were going to meet a friend, complete what you start and go meet a friend. If you started with a business coach or a relationship coach or whatever it is and you're not getting the results that you want, stop, course correct, recommit, and finish what you start. And go 100% in, even if your brain is telling you not to. Focus on one thing and complete what you start. Number 3, keep your word to yourself. And that has everything to do with the whole complete what you start. So you're going to see, obviously, I weaned some of those into each of the 3. And that's because when I sat down, what is the most important thing that has served me in growing my business and my life? It's these 3 things. It's been letting the right people influence me. I stopped chasing speed. And I just got really intimate on one thing. And then I started completing everything I start. And sometimes completing everything that I start doesn't mean I get the ultimate result that I wanted, but it does strengthen this winner mentality. And I will tell you, every time I complete what I start, I get a value out of it, right? I just get a value out of it. Even I'll just share a personal note. I did IVF at the beginning of last year twice, right after a miscarriage. And I was turning 41, and I'm 42 now. I'm 42 right at this exact moment cutting this live, and I want to have another baby. And I had a miscarriage, and I jumped into 2 versions of IVF, and I completed what I started, even though I was having feelings of, I don't feel like this is right, but I'm going to complete what I started. And then I jumped in with a holistic fertility specialist doctor. Her name's Catherine Zangoni. And she has not only gotten my body back to the point where I'm like ovulating on the 14th day, ladies, you know what I mean, versus the 21st day, which means that from 21 to 14, she's corrected my body in health. But I'm healthier today than I think I've ever been, as far as my cells and my blood and everything is just incredibly healthy. But if I wouldn't have done all the 2 versions of IVF and finished, what we just realized with another doctor that we brought in is that first and foremost, the new doctor that I brought in actually does Japanese IVF. And I went to him because he kept coming up in my space and I wanted to follow the connection point and just see, instead of, I don't want to do IVF again, let me just see what's available for me here because this doctor keeps coming up in my space. So I go have this meeting with him and he says to me, Shanda, you don't need IVF. He's like, your body is so healthy. And at 42, you're producing tons of eggs. Here's your reserve. I actually think because of the 2 rounds of IVF, and he looked at the data and all my blood work, which is about every 4 months with Catherine Zangoni, and he looks at all of it and he goes, I don't think you're actually producing enough omegas, that your eggs are releasing. And because I've had 1 miscarriage and 3 pregnancies that didn't, or 2 pregnancies that didn't stick over the last year and a couple months. And he said, we don't have a problem with you getting pregnant. He goes, we have a problem with it sticking. And he said, looking at your data, and IVF was a big piece from the beginning of last year. He goes, I don't think you're producing enough omegas, which means that when your egg kicks out, it's actually not getting enough nutrition and omegas to form, and that's why you're getting a abnormal pregnancy. And he goes, I would pretty much bet on this. I really believe that this is the case. And he goes, I just want to do an ultrasound when you get to day 10 of your cycle, and let's watch what's going on. And he goes, if your body's good, he goes, I want you to eat lots of walnuts. I want you to take your omegas on high dosage. And he goes, and we'll watch your ovulation. And he goes, if we need to push your body a little bit with Clomid, he goes, we can do that. But he goes, this will be about $350. And I just thought to myself, I was sitting there and I was like, it's amazing that if I would have followed my feelings and I would have stopped the IVF process last year, we wouldn't have had a big chunk of the data that actually he needed to look at, right? And I won't get into what that data is, but it was very specific, and it made a lot of sense as he looked at all my labs. And the second thing is I have an acupuncturist, I have a fertility doctor, and then I have the Japanese fertility doctor. And it was through all of their efforts that the whole thing came together for me to be able to have a baby. And so I share this with you because I could have done it the hard way and just continued to miscarry, and hope to God that eventually, I probably would eventually end up with a baby. Or I could bring a team of people together to work together and all work as a team. None of them compete against each other. There's nothing worse than when I see somebody posting something, even about me or somebody else online, that's putting like me or somebody else down because of what we teach or what we stand for. Because it's a combination. Sometimes it's a combination of what you're reading, what you're studying, where everything comes together. And I want you to not forget that we work as a team on this planet together. And that it's all the things you've already done that are coming together to have that explosion of what you want. And that it's time that we stop looking for one single source to be the thing that saves us. And we start to look internally and say it's a collection of everything that we have. And every time we complete what we start, that things continue to come together. So I stand here before you on 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda and say, don't give up. Don't give up on whatever it is that you're working on. Nothing is too hard for the dream that you want to come to pass in your life. Nothing is worth giving up on, meaning that there's no wall, no child, no divorce, no sickness that should ever get in between you and the vision that you want. And so you have to get used to people talking about you. You have to get used to impure thoughts in your head where you want to talk about other people. And you need to shut all those things down and put your focus and your priority on that vision that you want to create. And don't give up until you complete it. Because remember, one of the three things that have been the three most important things that I've learned to grow a great marriage, an incredible family, connection with my parents, a great body and fitness, because I used to be 20 pounds over, 15 pounds overweight, and a thriving business that actually runs without me, meaning that I can step out of it, that makes multiple 7 figures every year and is growing rapidly. I complete what I start. That's my gift to you today. I'll see you tomorrow morning on 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda or 9 a.m. Eastern. Talk to you soon.